Hey everybody, how are you? Chad Thibodeau, business coach and launch strategist here. Coming to you in just a minute. We're going to go over to my kitchen and we're going to whip up some gumbo, because what you and I are going to be doing today is we're going to raise some money for an incredible organization called Child Help. You know, I'm pretty blessed. I get to work with entrepreneurs literally all around the world, actually 54 countries and 3,200 entrepreneurs to be exact. And one of the things that breaks my heart is when I get to travel the world, I see so many people in poverty and so many people in neglect. But one of the things that really crushes my heart here in the United States is how many kids are abused. I'm talking child abuse. In fact, research tells us that about every 10 seconds a child abuse is reported, and every single day 5 kids die. And I think it's about time that you and I step up to the plate and let's do something about it. So here's what I'm gonna do. You're gonna click the button below or around me, wherever it's at, and I want you to click the button and join me in raising money for Child Help. Now listen, there's a lot of people that I'm competing against, okay? I'm gonna show you my best gumbo recipe ever, but we have some really popular, really famous people that I'm competing with, and I wanna whip every one of their tail, okay? So I've got a massive goal to raise a ton of money for Child Help, and I need your help doing that, okay? So click the button below, and let's end child abuse once and for all. So what do you say? We go over to my kitchen and let's make some gumbo. Hey, let's get to the recipe of my famous gumbo. Now, gumbo is amazing, and what it is, it's a soup based off of a roux. Now, the flavor comes from the roux. Now, there's different types of roux. If you don't know what roux is simply equal parts oil and equal parts flour that you cook. If you ever have like biscuits and gravy, that's a roux-based gravy. And they only cook it for a little bit, that's why it's like a white gravy. Well, with gumbo, what you want to do is you want to cook that gravy until it gets the color of dark chocolate. Now, here's the thing you got to know about roux. Once you start the roux, I don't care what it takes, you're not leaving. Somebody rings the doorbell, let them ring. Somebody calls on the phone, let it call. You gotta go potty, baby, well, you're not going until after the roux is done, because you gotta cook that roux 25 solid minutes until it gets the color of dark chocolate. But the trick is, between a good roux and a bad roux, is if you let it burn, you gotta start all the way over. So we don't wanna do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with our roux. We're gonna make that in just a little bit. And then once our roux is cooked, then we're gonna throw the holy trinity in. We have onions, bell pepper, and celery. That's the trinity of Cajun food. We're gonna throw that in there, throw a little bit of okra. In fact, most people don't know that the word gumbo is actually Cajun for okra. So you really can't have gumbo without okra. The liquid of gumbo comes from chicken stock, and then the meat, it's called poor man's gumbo. We use andouille sausage and chicken, and then to make it a little nice, we are gonna throw some nice jumbo shrimp in right at the last minute. Now, seasoning. You wanna make it taste good? Here's the key. You're gonna throw some bay leaves in. You have to have some Louisiana hot sauce and a little bit of Cajun seasoning. And there's this little seasoning most people don't know about called pure gumbo filet. It's a ground root and just makes your gumbo taste really good. We'll put a little salt, pepper, thyme, and cayenne pepper in it. These are the ingredients of the roux. What do you say we get to the stove and let's get cooking? All right, guys, hey, let's start with the base of the gumbo. This is where we're gonna make our dark roux. A roux is simply made with 1 part oil and 1 part flour. So we have our oil in our cast iron skillet. It's nice and hot right now. And what we're gonna do is I've got a cup of oil in there. I'm gonna go ahead and put a cup of flour, and we're gonna begin cooking the flour. Now, if you come over here and take a look at this pot, you may wanna notice just a little bit. Come all the way in here, Mr. Camera Guy, and look right down inside the pot here. You may notice that you're gonna see like, it almost looks like a little bit of a clump. So you're gonna use like a wood spatula right here, and you're gonna work out all of the clumps. Now, the beginning of the roux is almost as important as the end. The reason is it's important to get the right consistency. I've been making gumbo my whole life. Sometimes I go 1-to-1, it's the right consistency. Sometimes it goes 1-to-1 and it's not. So what we're gonna do is, if we don't have the right consistency, we're gonna go ahead and put a little bit more flour. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit more flour in here. So I'm just gonna throw about another half a cup of flour in here, and let's see what we can do. And the consistency that you're looking for is just nice and thick. Now, like not too thick, not like a cookie dough or something like that, but thick enough where it's got a little bit of liquid, it's amiable. But if you take a look in here, you can see it's got some nice substance to it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna cook this. This is called a blonde roux. We're gonna cook this all the way to the color of dark chocolate. Easiest way to do this is once you get in here, set a timer for 25 minutes and don't stop cooking. I mean, don't stop cooking. Do not stop cooking and stirring until it gets the color of dark chocolate. We'll see you in a few. We're a few minutes into this. You can see I've got it on medium-high heat, and it's starting to change colors right now. This is about the color of peanut butter, okay? And once again, way too light for a gumbo, so you want to keep going. So right now we're we've only had about 5 minutes go off the clock, and you can see this is the color here. This is the time when a lot of people mess it up because the pot forms a hot spot and it starts burning. So you want to just keep stirring and mixing around. A little trick if you want a good gumbo, you may notice like right here how it's all piled up. Well, only the bottom of the gumbo is cooking, or the bottom of the roux is cooking. That's a key to keeping it from burning. And then I cook it up and then I spread it out so it all cooks, and then I'll gather it up again. And so that is called the gather and spread mode, key to making a good gumbo. We'll see you in a few minutes when it cooks a little bit more. All right, guys, so here we are. We're literally about halfway through, and you can see it's nice and dark right now. Now, amateurs, this is where they give up right here. They give up when it gets the color of milk chocolate, but you can't go, and we're only halfway done. We got to get this incredibly dark. Now, don't forget, if you burn it, you got to start over, so you don't ever stop stirring. All right, guys, so here we are coming down to the end of the roux. You can see how it's getting nice and dark right now. This is super crucial because it's not burnt, but this is where all the flavor comes in. The darker you get this roux, the more flavor you have it. The difference between men and boys, the difference between good and bad is in the color. So right now it's not quite there, but we're getting really, really, really close. It's looking good. One more step. Okay, so as you can see, this is really nice and dark. It's the color of dark chocolate, which is exactly what you want. Now, the key to making it here, to making it even more dark than what it is grab some onions and throw right as soon as it's done, throw some onions in it. Because what the onions are going to do is it's going to allow the roux to keep cooking and get even darker, but it's going to keep it from burning. Okay, so what you want to do is you pour the onions in there, and then I go ahead and pour my okra in here as well. Now the okra is frozen, so you got to be really careful because the heat and the ice could cause a little bit of a splatter, so be really careful. But the reason why I put the okra in here and cook it like this is because it gets rid of all that slime from the okra, and that's what you want. So I cook it just like this, and I'll cook it for, maybe 3 minutes, and until the onions get really soft and the okra starts getting soft, and then we're going to add the broth to it. All right, so here we go. As you can see in the pot here, now the onions are soft, the okra is beginning to get soft, and that roux is literally almost black, which is exactly like we want it. Now to soften this up, what we're going to do here is we're going to take some chicken stock. This is basically 2 boxes of chicken broth, not stock, but broth. I'm going to put it in here, and I'm just going to sort of give it a little stir. Now to make it easier, I actually can just use a whisk, okay? I can just use a whisk, and as I pour it in, I want to whisk this to get all the lumps out of it, okay? And just keep pouring some, I'm making a little bit of a mess here, but keep pouring some broth in there. If you look down inside the pot, you can see it's still a little too thick, but as I whisk it, all the lumps are going to come out, and this is going to be one flavorful soup right here, okay? Notice how dark the color still remains. That's what you want. You don't want a light gumbo, you want a dark gumbo. So we're going to go ahead and keep mixing this up and stirring it up. As you can see, it's taking on a really, 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 really nice color. I'll go ahead and just pour the rest of the stock in there, like that. Give it a whisk. It's nice and smooth and beautiful, and it's ready for our seasonings and ready for our veggies. All right, guys, now that we have our roux made and we have it mixed with our onions and our okra, now it's time to put everything else in it. So I have some chicken boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and just throw the chicken in there. And then now we want to make all the seasonings happen. Now we have a lot of seasonings. Before we put them in, let's go ahead and put the bell peppers in. And then this is the second most flavorful part of the gumbo. The celery is what makes it really flavorful. So you're going to put the whole thing in, and you'll notice that we have the little flowers and everything in, because there's so much flavor in that. We're going to put that in, we're going to give that just a little bit of stir, and then we're going to put a whole plethora of vegetables in it, okay? Or of seasonings in it, excuse me. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with some bay leaves. I typically like to put 3 bay leaves in a pot this size, okay? And by the way, whoever gets the bay leaves, they have to do the dishes. So we put the bay leaves in, and then I'm just going to eyeball it. We're going to start with some pepper. Be really careful here if you use bulk pepper, because you don't want to put too much in. I'll just put about that much in. And then I'm just going to eyeball some salt, some coarse kosher salt, 2 big little things like that. We're just gonna dump that in. And then now we wanna put our gumbo filet in. Just a dash will do. And then this is, careful here, this is our red ground cayenne pepper. You want it to have a little bit of a kick, but not a lot. So you're just looking at just a little pinch of cayenne. Oh, maybe that right there. That'll just give you a nice little tickle in the back of your throat. And a little Cajun seasoning is gonna give it some spice, which is fun. So just drop that in there. And then we're going to put some thyme. Okay, so this is crushed thyme right here. I just open it up and I just toss this on top. That'll just add a nice little flavor to it. And you're gonna dump some Louisiana red hot sauce in here. And this is gonna give it that Cajun feel, that Cajun flavor that pulls it all together. So as you can see, the roux and the celery is what gives it its nice, rich, deep flavor. And in just a minute, we're gonna put the andouille sausage in as well. So we have chicken, we have sausage, we have all the spices. We're gonna give this a mix. We're gonna bring it to a boil, and then we're gonna let the stove do the rest of the work. All right, guys, so we put it all together and we boiled it for about an hour and 20 minutes. And if you can look, this is an incredible pot of gumbo right here. It's got the shrimp, the andouille sausage, the chicken, all the veggies, and a beautiful dark blackened roux. And I'm telling you what, folks, this is the best pot of gumbo that you'll ever taste, I guarantee.